Hey folks, this is Matt Rainwater, and today we're going to be reading episode 53 of Trailer Park Warlock. This one's titled The Streets of Paris. And picking up from where we last left off, we're now with Jake, right? And we're going to be finding out what the hell is going on a little bit more, or maybe we're not, to be totally honest. Because at this point, this is probably the most befuddling episode of this season, and we'll get more into that in just a moment. But let's get started. Retournez chez vous maintenant. So we see soldiers walking here. Jake trying to be inconspicuous, right? Par ordre du roi. Retournez chez vous maintenant. My apologies again for those of you in the audience who are French speaking. And then Jake notices somebody's going into his trailer. Hey, I don't know who you think you are, but this is my... Oh, hell. Je suis désolé, monsieur, mais j'ai très faim. Je suis sans parents ni maison. S'il vous plaît, ne me faites pas de mal. Je veux seulement de nature. So Jake's just like, I don't speak French. To translate, they're saying, I'm very sorry, sir. I'm very hungry. I do not have, I can't remember, let's see. I do not have parents or a house, I think. I'm trying to remember what... Maison means house, but I can't remember exactly how I phrased it in my mind before I wrote it. Please do not hurt me. I think I'm just very hungry and need food. It's okay, kid. Hold on. Do you know any English? Anglais? Es-tu Englishman? I speak good. Englishman? Well, I guess you could say I'm from America or the English colonies, whatever y'all are calling it these days. Oh, Rebel American. Sure. By the way, I'm Jake Baker. Bonjour. And what's your name, young buck? I am Jacques Pointu. And so, here we go. Well, hey, nice to meet you. In these latter years, I think often on that day. So, this is, by the way, this is Pointu speaking or writing. And so, since this is written voice, I'm not going to use his accent. Also, because the accent's so difficult. In these latter years, I think often on that day. I wonder what course my life might have taken if we had not crossed paths. During that week, Jake prepared us for leaving the streets of Paris. He seemed to know somehow that greater violence was looming on the horizon. The day we walked out of Paris was a confusing day for me. After my parents went missing, after the many riots and the days alone, starving on the streets, I found myself still wondering if I should not turn back. Perhaps if I had stayed, I might find them alive and well. But I followed Jake. No other adult was willing to take care for me, and the streets of Paris were terrifying. So yeah, I mean, just real quick, Jake finds himself, right, amidst the French Revolution, and so he's, Jake's kind of aware of what's going on. He's like, okay, let's get the hell out. Though our life in the countryside of France was simple, we found what we needed for the time. It was summer, and there was never a better time to bask in the sun and lay under the stars. Traveling the side roads, though dangerous in retrospect, was not without its rewards. The day we found a home was a great surprise to us both. It was not perfect, but we would make it perfect. Over many years, Uncle Baker taught me many of the great secrets of magic. And we soon discovered the surrounding villages from eager to okay, I read that wrong. And we soon discovered the surrounding villages were eager to prosper from our knowledge. So, Jake makes a career, I guess, a kind of a side hustle of just scaring off Equimancers here. Great Napoleon was eager as well. At the age of 16, I was conscripted to serve the Republic of France as a secret officer. I rose in prominence through the military as my role became more official and took Uncle Baker with me as confidant and counsel. He was of great assistance to me through that time, though he could scarcely believe it. Jake was never a man of war and could not entirely comprehend how I took to it with such confidence. Over time, I began to note a growing unease on his brow. It reminded me of those days in Paris, just before the insurrection at Tuileries Palace, before we left for the countryside. So, more context. Within this, I'm going to say within this timeline, because I'll get into this a little bit more in just a moment. Jake, the riot that was happening was basically like in our history, right? I can't remember quite the exact date. I think it's around 1794 in France, but there was the insurrection at Tuileries Palace. After much deliberation, I made plans to send Uncle Baker to the United States as an official liaison to the Empire of France. Jake's private letters during that time were full of excitement and intrigue, as he quickly became entrenched in the Brotherhood of American Freemasonry. He spoke of their debaucherous parties, the many summoning circles gone awry, the devilish roguery of Benjamin Franklin, and the many other dilettantes who frequented the Masonic lodges. As years progressed, I would receive fewer letters from Uncle Baker, both official and private. I became concerned. Perhaps his health was declining with age, or he was privy to some Masonic plot that made him increasingly distant to the Empire's cause. In the year of 1813, I took emergency leave to the United States, officially to engage in ceremony with a Masonic lodge in Pennsylvania, but secretly to search for Jake. None of the lodges could tell me what happened to him. I even asked that devil Benjamin, one of Jake's closest confidants, and he had nothing of use to say to the matter. Jake Baker was gone. The man who pulled me out of certain misery has vanished from my existence, just as mysteriously as he had entered it. I think of him every day, even more than my parents. So yeah, now we see Pointu as an old man here, right? And he's not a feeder, not a vampire. I had so many questions about Jake, his strange accent that was like any American, his bright red cap that must have been dyed in secret science. But with more consequence, I miss his company. In these latter years, I am adrift in the United States, not alone, but without direction. Napoleon has finally fallen, and with him the dream of a French empire. At this time, I resided many miles from the port of New Orleans, in the estate of a daring privateer and vampire by the name of Henry Cox. Henry has grown concerned over the past year, as there are rumors of men who set out to stalk and kill vampires in the night. I'm teaching Henry as much magic as I can during this time in hopes it might set his mind at ease, but... Jake, what? What happened? So... this is definitely, I'd say this is like the trippiest episode, right? Because we have this transition to where Darla is basically writing out Pointu's words. Right. Because now she's kind of transitioned into all this weird magical time cycle stuff that's happening. We're going to get more in-depth into it in a couple of episodes, but right now I'll just say everything that happens in this episode is totally alternative timeline. There are a lot of people that were speculating when they first read this that this meant that actually Jake had raised Pointu, in the actual Trailer Park Warlock timeline. And I realize this episode is quite messy, right? From a linear thinking point of view. And in the next couple episodes, there is going to be a lot of explanation about what all it has been happening in the last 3 episodes, right? Because everything has been very, like the Battle of Barossa to Devils of the Sea, there's a pretty linear form of progression, right? And then in this episode, the linear form of progression breaks down. We still get to see Pointu's childhood, but now we see it very much in a light of what actually happened in Pointu's history. And so I could, I really went back and forth on this when I originally wrote this episode because um, it was a little bit rough going for a couple of weeks because I knew that I had pissed off a lot of readers. Because a lot of readers were just like, "Oh, you don't know what you're doing," blah blah blah, right? I think as what gets explained more than makes up for it. But nevertheless, you have to make that up for your. You have to make up your own mind for yourself on that one, right? I liked it. It, in retrospect, it's pretty daring, pretty bold move to make. Especially because I am trying to go for a very non-linear, sense of time. In other words, I'm trying to set up and give information on Pointu's timeline. Oh, by the way, Darla's ears are really big in this panel. Oh well. Anyway, I'm trying to set up a linear concept of what Pointu's timeline is, but then totally mess with it by adding in, these other elements. And like I said, it'll be explained why that's happening within the framework of this universe. It makes sense, at least to me. Hopefully to you too, when it does get explained. But until then, that's a couple episodes from now. Hope you all are doing well, and if you're enjoying these videos, if you're enjoying listening to me talk about the story, read the story with you, please check out, if you haven't already, please check out Trailer Park Warlock on Webtoon, and as well, you can follow me on Twitter, it's at Matt J. Rainwater, on Instagram, it's at Matthew Rainwater, patreon.com/MattJRainwater, and then also, give these videos a subscribe, a like. Feel free to talk to me about whatever you think in regards to the storyline, whether you like it, hate it, whatever. I'd be interested to know. And we will talk again soon. All right. Talk to you later. Bye.